Okay, again, another gear change. Venom, The Last Dance. Third film in the Venom trilogy. Tom Hardy returns as Eddie Brock / Venom. By the way, do you think the inspiration for doing Venom was like Vincent D'Onofrio, Men in Black?
Water. Sugar.
Kind of giving that.
It was a bit, wasn't it?
Anyway.
I don't think they thought about cinematic references when making this film.
Venom: The Last Dance, directed by Kelly Marcel. Previously, the second one was directed by Andy Serkis. First one, Ruben Fleischer. So third director to come along to it. We begin with Eddie Brock in Mexico on the run, laying low. There's a brief 5 seconds where he begins the film in the MCU world, and then at the end of No Way Home, and then is sucked back through the portal and is back in his
Hang on,
world.
we don't have the rights to do anything other than a scene at this bar.
He would like to make his way to New York to clear his name, but in the process of doing so, he is waylaid and spends a lot of time in the movie in Nevada, in the Nevada desert, where he is being pursued by Chiwetel Ejiofor as General Strickland, he's a general with an axe to grind. Is there any other kind? Juno Temple, who is a curious scientist who had something in her past and is interested about symbiotes. And there's also a scientist with a Christmas tree lapel because there's also Stephen Graham as a character from the second film who they needed to deliver some exposition, so they brought him back for this one, and they keep him in a big box. And then Risa Fans, who might confuse some people.
God bless Risa Fans.
For
Spike from Notting Hill.
Yeah, and in Amazing Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man. He's
as a disillusioned scientist driving his family on a journey to Area 51, which is being shut down. And they're all there to see the aliens. Meanwhile, Eddie and Venom have this kind of buddy, anarchic relationship, codependent thing. But from outer space, from the heavy expositional opening of outer space, we get creatures that are coming to find the symbiotes on planet Earth because they, within them, hold a codex which will unleash a greater evil.
Remember codexes from Justice League? They're coming back.
Yeah, so there's a big bad up in space who's sending his big bad monsters down to look for Venom and the symbiotes. That's the premise. It's called The Last Dance. It is the final one of the trilogy. There is dancing in it as well. Have I missed anything out, James?
You've actually said so much more about the plot than I remember. I think it's really crap. I think it's actually just really very disappointing, actually. And I want to say that this film actually felt very small. This isn't some like big, huge, bombastic action film. I actually sort of took a step back and thought, this is really just a few days in a big studio or on a desert. I really didn't feel like there was anything fun or popcorn or epic about it.
Very contained to the desert.
It's barely got a plot. I feel like the opening scene with Null felt like it put PlayStation 3 game opening cutscenes to shame. It was seriously, seriously poor. You know, I said this to you a couple of weeks ago. You know, I was like, oh yeah, I guess they're doing a third one. And I was almost a little bit disappointed that this is now 3 films that's taken up a great actor like Tom Hardy's time. And it's not that there's anything...
It's kept him in the mainstream, though.
It's kept him in the mainstream, but I'm almost just a bit like, you're a very good actor. You're very good in The Bike Riders and other things. I think you could just be up to more interesting things. I understand that the 3 films have probably paid him excess of $50 million, so I understand the reasons why. But it's not funny. I think the plot is basically non-existent. For some reason, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Stephen Graham, and Juno Temple
a heavy British cast, by the way.
True,
and Risa
actually.
Fans and Tom Hardy, of course.
Literally, Andy Serkis
and
as
Kelly
well.
Marcel, the director, is... it's a heavily British.
Yeah, they kept it in the family. For some reason, these really great actors who otherwise work with very talented directors, not that it's director talent, I just mean on more interesting projects, are doing this. The dialogue's terrible. It's not funny.
No.
It makes the worst mistake, which I feel like we'd move past, of having your action scene be 2 mushy CGI things just bashing into each other.
Bits of goo.
You've no sense of where one person ends and where the other begins, so you're just completely disengaged in the action. I think it's crap.
I will just say, I've never seen a Venom film before, and I sort of we ended up going to see this, and I don't have a lot to say about it because I recognise that as I haven't seen the other 2, I don't have a lot to draw on. It's not made for me. I'm not really that interested in it. But I will say this. After seeing Megalopolis, which I think has kind of completely course-corrected my whole thing, which I saw this about a week after.
This is like the zone of interest.
My comparison. I would say that I agree with everything you've said. It is nonsense, but I went in thinking that, and I thought it's just about watchable nonsense.
Right.
You know, I sat there and I sort of zoned out a little bit, and I sort of blurred my eyes, and it was happening. But it didn't really make it. It moved quickly.
You say
It's not
zoning
slow.
out and blurring your eyes. I think if you enjoy smoking shitloads of weed and you've got to put something on while you're having a mild panic attack, I would put on Venom: The Last Dance, because you don't have to concentrate so hard, but the visuals are ever so slightly strange and the scenes move around. And if you're really baked, maybe there's some value in it. But
I would say that's what I'm saying. I agree everything you said, but it's also just kind of inoffensive.
yeah,
right?
it's not the most offensive thing. I just find it really poor, actually. And I think what was interesting is in my screening, which granted was an invite multimedia screening, there were a decent chunk of people laughing at a lot of the jokes and laughing in a way that was louder than they needed to because they wanted the rest of the auditorium to know that they found something funny, which makes it way less funny for anyone else. Anyway, but like there are people who found it amusing. They found the idea of just like making a symbiote horse hilarious. I don't personally see what's so funny about that.
No.
So yeah, I wouldn't see it. I wouldn't give it a chance personally. It's a bit of a shame.
There's so many other
There's so many other
films.
great films. That's when I look at a film and I go, oh, it is dying, this cinema thing. It is just like the worst. When I took my sister to see Interstellar, we saw a trailer for Venom 3. And she just turned to me and she went, that looks absolutely awful.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing it next week. It probably is.
And it's kind of performed very sluggishly in terms of box office,
Yeah.
so it's not like it's got legs on it still. And there's sort of hints of, I don't know. I didn't stay for any post-credit scene.
There are post-credit scenes.
Was it worth sticking
no.
around for? Yeah. Cool. Anyway, that was Venom: The Last Dance. If you disagree with us, or even if you agree with us, send us your thoughts to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. But what 3 different films we've had to talk about today?
Completely different.
You couldn't make it up. The cinema thing has some legs, but in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Let's get on with some emails.